for a new and long overdue episode of Bangers tonight. We're going to talk through some really cool modern books, and I hope everybody enjoys the ride. So let's get it started. All right. Gotham City Sirens #1. This is a J.G. Jones 1 in 25. This is an expensive book. This book goes, it's been for $600. That was back in September in a 9.8. And there's not that many on the census really for a 1 in 25 of a #1, right? We got 154 copies, 102 and 9.8. So we're going to start off with some DC love tonight. We always seem to save DC for the end, so we're going to come out of the gate with some DC here. We got Catwoman looking back at us, wondering what the hell's going on. Anybody have this book?
I had this book. This is a book I bought for $20 back in the day. And this was part of the first crop of books that I sent to CGC, but I didn't do anything to them, didn't have them pressed or anything like that. It came back in 9.6, and I'm like, yuck. So I sold it. But I don't know. I probably should have just cracked it out and done some magic to it and then resubmitted it. But yeah, I did have this book, and it's bringing back memories. It's bringing back fond memories.
Yeah, I don't know if these things have all sort of been absorbed or people aren't buying them, but I don't see these things moving very often when I'm combing through eBay sales. I don't remember the last time I saw this book sell, but yeah, it is a modern classic. And a pretty cool one. So
it's absorbed. They're absorbed by this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember like at the beginning of the last decade. That's how far back we go with this book. Yeah, I mean, there were like smatterings here and there, but they've kind of seeped in to the crevices of collections, probably never to see the light of day. Yeah. Probably should put this bitch on the ghost list, but
it probably some of these books tonight could show up there. They could have been on that list, but we'll leave it here. We'll leave it here tonight because it's got quite a bit of popularity. Some of those ghost books are just books nobody's ever heard of. So
I was gonna say I think I've only seen it at a convention like a handful of times. Especially like at the height of like Suicide Squad and like when Margaret Robbie was being introduced as Harley, like was probably like when I saw it the most.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. What do we got next? Oh, this is a nice book. This is a Hughes book that I think a lot of people aren't aware of. At least it feels like they're not aware of. So Teen Titans number 88. This is a 1 in 10 by Adam Hughes. Not a crazy price, but we haven't seen one sell since the end of 2019 for just over $200. There's 72 copies graded on the census, 38 in 9.8, which is pretty low if you want to think about a modern book, right? Less than half of these things, or right around just over half of these things are in 9.8, and there were just over 27,000 copies ordered of this. Everybody at that number should have ordered at least 10, so there should be a lot of these out there, but you don't see this pop up too often. And raw, it's not cheap. I mean, raw, this is 80 to 100 easy, probably more. But a really cool Hughes book that it just doesn't seem to come up in a lot of Hughes conversations.
I have this book. I took a picture of this book because I was gonna lightweight flex on Instagram. Instagram/Mercenat, by the way. But because I was digging through the collections and I found this. I'm like, ooh, this is a very unassuming cover. Because just a plain white background, and you have 3 figures. Nothing crazy, nothing like hypersexualized or anything like that. It's just a really nice image, great composition, but it's just kind of, I don't know. It's to me, it's way more understated than say 75 Adam Hughes cover.
Yeah, I'd say that the chest area that he tends to embellish a lot on these types of characters, he dialed it down on this, right? This is more about the images, and I like the different colors, right? You got the gold, you got the black, and you've got sort of the orange and the gray at the top. There's something about the way the colors work on this that really makes it pop. It's a beautiful book. And for the Hughes collectors out there, I think an important one for the collection.
Oh, and Ravager's on the cover.
So yeah. I was going to say, like, if he would have drawn, like, at least the two girls, like, or the three girls, but like individually done a cover of that picture by themselves, can you imagine what that variant would go for? Like, bro, I mean, his drawing back then was just phenomenal.
Yeah, no, beautiful. Oh, and real quick, tonight, the theme of tonight, which was not intentional when we started to put this show together, we're calling this Bangers. This is Ladies' Night, because every one of these covers we're going to talk about tonight are females, start to finish, and that
it's Bangers and Broads there.
But that is what we're running with tonight, so we're going to keep it going. Let's keep the Hughes theme going. I think we got another Hughes book next on the list. All right, G.I. Joe number 2. Arguably the best Baroness cover, certainly one of the best Baroness covers. This was an open order book, if I remember correctly. And we can't talk about this book without talking about a few other books.
There's a sideways version of that too, right?
You're giving away the script tonight, there, Joe.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
It's all good, man. It's all good. Yeah, so this is a beautiful Adam Hughes. This isn't necessarily a difficult book to find. It goes for less than 200, around 200 in 9.8. It's 123 in the census, 72 9.8s. Now, that said, this isn't the only time we've seen this cover come up for sale. If we go to the next one, so this is a 1 in 10 of the same issue. And if you open it up, you get the full image, just, bigger back to front. Far fewer of these on the census. 55 total copies graded, 26 in 9.8. So, just under half. So a tough book in 9.8, apparently, for a modern. We saw a 9.8 sell for this for about $100 late last year. Apparently, I had some note I wanted to add to this that I didn't. But Frank, to be perfectly honest, I like the full cover version better. It's just easier to see the whole image than this one, which is why I think this one doesn't sell, for the premium it should, given that it's a ratio.
Especially with IDW 1 in 10s, like most shops don't even they have 5 people in their pool blocks. They won't add the extra 5 to get the incentive ratio, which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, maybe with Hughes, they're a little more aggressive ordering on this one. I don't know. I can't say for sure, but yeah, this one is harder to come by. But this isn't the last time we saw this book. Go to the next one if you don't mind, Aaron. All right, so you're saying, well, we already talked about this. Well, this is actually a G.I. Joe 252 by IDW, and this was a convention edition, limited to 500. So, believe it or not, this is the rarest one of the 3. There's 40 on the census. These are most of them in high grade, 36 9.8s. What I would point out is that 26 of those graded copies are signature series. So most of them are signature series, and so this is the toughest one to come by. This one doesn't necessarily sell for a lot. You can probably find it for $50-$60, maybe $40 if you're lucky, raw. I think this one probably is less desired, even though it's the harder one to get your hands on, because it was a remake, and it just came out several years later. This was in 2018, if I'm not mistaken, this book came out, and those other ones came out in 2009, 2010, maybe, something like that. It was a big gap between when those books came out and when this one came out.
I'm not a fan of recycling art like that, but
and it was I mean, and this was like, and I've been recycling. And you know, sometimes they'll like change the background, they'll do something to make it different. This is the same damn cover, right? I mean, it's quite.
You know, if you're gonna do like a convention exclusive like that, Ben, they should have at least done like a black and white. You know what I mean?
Something to distinguish it, right?
Right.
Because at first glance, it's the same book as number 2.
It
right?
is. I mean, it's the same damn thing.
But regardless of which copy you get your hands on, you know, I think this is a pretty badass Adam Hughes cover.
Yeah.
And, if I'm just being all the way honest, I would rather, if you're gonna use the same art, I would rather, instead of doing a black and white, that they just keep it colored. But also, if you think about it, even though this was open order, it was definitely under order. So them doing a convention exclusive on it, in my eyes, is just right in the wrong. Where retailers missed, you know, I'm not gonna say missed out, but they overlooked this cover. So they said, forget it. We just gonna make it a con exclusive because we know this cover is hot. But you know, that's something I've been looking for this book and I don't see it. I don't see it. It's not something. It's not one of them books that you know you gonna always come across.
I mean, this one is not out there like in the wild.
It's
very often. I mean, I don't remember the last time I've seen this book in the wild, to be honest with you. But a classic Hughes, and you know, Baroness covers. You know, there is a subset of collectors who just like love them, right? I mean, it is a niche for a lot of collectors out there, just kind of loading up on these books. So, and in that theme, I think we got another Baroness cover just to kind of keep the right. So this is GI Joe number 1. For me, I like this one better than the Hughes, and I mentioned that in IG the other day, and people went fucking crazy.
Really?
But I don't know. There's something about this Art Adams that I really like, and I think it's just her pose. I don't know what it is. The attitude of it. There's something about it that I like. But this was number 1. This was a subscriber variant. I don't exactly know what the limitations on that were, but harder to come by. You know, this book probably goes for somewhere between 30 and 50 raw. The last 9.8 we saw was for $130. 44 copies on the census total. 15 in 9.8. 23 of the copies are signature series. I like to point that out because I don't know, when I see a lot of books that are signed, I prefer to chase the ones that aren't.
I came across
like
this book. No, I was saying, what were we saying, Aaron?
I was just gonna say real quick, it doesn't look like a typical Art Adams cover either.
Sort of, yeah. Did you also mention the red background second print, Ben?
I did not mention that. There is a second print of this one. Yes, that's right.
I came across this book a few months ago for like $6, but I was too cheap to buy it.
$6,
I've come across a lot of copies of this, so I'm just like, we'll find another. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good book to grab. It's a good book to grab when you find it. I mean, you know, up here in Boston, I've never seen it for that much. I mean, when you can find it for $20, $25 for a good deal up here, but people have it on the wall for $50 pretty regularly. So, but just a cool, you know, badass, you know, Baroness cover.
Yeah, the thing I've noticed about IDW GI Joe, they've gotten a lot of upper echelon artists to do covers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gabrielle Delato, Hughes, even did J. Scott Campbell. I know he did the Image covers, but I don't know if he did the IDWs or not. But yeah, they stepped up their game when it came to GI Joe, and that's surprising to me. These artists.
Yeah, I mean, I think they gave it everything they got with that property, right, to turn it into something big. So they chased down the biggest names they could.
Yeah,
I don't think it was enough to keep it completely relevant in the subscriber boxes, but they definitely made a go of it. So.
Yeah, they tried.
Yeah, I mean, because now it's become a thing of the past now with IDW no longer having the license for Transformers or G.I. Joe.
Who's got it now?
I don't know who has it now.
Yeah, I haven't heard where G.I. Joe is coming back out from, to be honest with you. That's a good question.
Hopefully someone in the chat knows. So
yeah, if anybody knows, give us a shout.
How much you want to bet Hasbro just does their own comics?
You know what? That wouldn't be the worst idea ever if they could get somebody in to manage it for them. To
Jim
really
Shooter.
Honestly, if I was Hasbro, I would probably lease all of those IPs out to Marvel, Disney/Marvel.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, they may give them the right to do the comics. I think you're right. I think they
through the comics. I mean, not now. The movies, all of that. The only reason I probably wouldn't do that is because it's only so much one company can take on. So I probably wouldn't want to do, that as far as, movies, TV shows, things of that nature. But just for the comic books, I would definitely get that over to Marvel in a heartbeat. I mean, it's endless possibilities for crossovers, variant covers, kind of like how they did the whole Alien covers. We still waiting on those Predators covers, but I guess Marvel is in court behind those. But it's so many crossovers that they could do. We saw how well the DC and Fortnite crossovers did. The Marvel and Fortnite crossovers didn't do that bad. So if you crossing over Transformers with Marvel properties and G.I. Joes, it's a lot. It's a lot that you can do, man. It's a whole lot that you could do there. Some of that stuff has been done before, but it's was all the way back in the 80s and 90s. So what's old is new again. I think it will be a good fit just off the amount of books that they could sell alone.
Yeah, no, I think that'd be a reasonable place from a comic book home for them. Even if Marvel wanted the movie rights, I don't think Hasbro would give them up. I think they're still probably planning on doing stuff with both those properties. Transformers, it was a pretty big hit, right? I mean, those movies, the G.I. Joe stuff, maybe not so much.
In the I'm seeing a couple of comments about Robert Kirkman, and that, because I definitely remember hearing something about Robert Kirkman wanting to take over a couple of those Hasbro franchises. So that would be hella interesting.
Yeah, Kirkman would be fun, right? I mean, he could do some interesting stuff with that.
Yeah,
those properties. Alrighty, what do we got next? Inferno #1.
Wow, that's Audi, man.
Yes, this is an Audi Grotto of 1 in 50. Magic covers are just bangers in their own right? I mean, she's one of the best cover characters to ever be. This is not a cheap book. I mean, every once in a while, one moves for a deal. We saw one go for 170 in the middle of last year. But this book goes for 70, 80, 90 bucks raw.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it moves. I saw one go. I was shocked on IG. Somebody was selling, and a guy was posting books, and it was like, I think it was like 90 bucks, and it was gone immediately. Like 90, I'll take it. So 151 graded copies, 118 and 9.8, and just an awesome Audi Grotto cover. What can I say?
Yeah, I remember picking this book up like the week that it came out, and I could have swore I maybe paid like 20 bucks or something like that.
For 150, yeah,
it's something to that effect. But I remember thinking that I'm like, damn, I paid a lot. my cheap self. But yeah, that book is just like, it's buried somewhere. But yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm definitely glad I picked that up. I love that cover.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man. Absolutely, she's just badass.
Yeah, when I was reviewing the slides, I was like, "Oh, this is definitely going to be on my want list now," because I'm starting to pick up Magic covers, and I was like, kind of like, oh, "I've never seen this one, and it's Audi Grotto. Oh, I have to get it."
Yeah.
Is the other Magic cover on this list?
No, I didn't. I tried not. I was getting a string of like the same, so I tried not to go too far down with that. But it'll be on some future ones for sure. We could do a whole Magic Bangers show for crying out loud. Let's be honest. So, all right, what do we got next? A Force number 3. This cover kicks a lot of ass. I know Mighty Mel V is a huge fan of this one. Mark Brooks, 1 in 25. We saw a 9.8 go late last year for $208. Only 62 on the census, which is not a lot. 47 and 9.8. But this is a classic Mark Brooks cover. And this thing is gone. I mean, this we could have talked about this almost on the Ghosts, but dropped it here on the bangers list tonight because it's ladies' night.
You remember when they had the roller derby on ESPN, dude?
Yeah.
Just saying.
You got this one, Carter?
I had this. I bought this again the week that it came out, and I sold it off for whatever reason. I'm not sure why, but because the cover is amazing, but I just, for whatever reason, I just sold it off.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I mean, there's not a lot to drive this book higher other than it just being really fucking cool. But yeah, I mean, if you can turn these around for a nice profit, why not? But it's the kind of book also I can see people hanging on to in their PCs just because it's so unique.
Mm-hmm.
So cool.
Yeah,
and it's getting harder and harder to come by every year. So this thing's drying up. By the day. Yeah, but an absolute modern classic.
It's a beautiful book. It's what it kind of looks like a poster. You know what I mean? That
it's meant to be. It was meant to be like. I mean, look, the whole thing is meant to.
Yeah.
Be. Yeah. It was brilliantly done. I mean, fucking brilliant.
And I just love Mark's
70s, kind of feel to it.
Yeah.
Or
and I was
early
gonna say
80s, early 80s.
I was just gonna say I love Mark Brooks covers, like just like his he has like so much diversity of what he can do. It's just amazing what he throws down.
Yeah, and I think when they redo the trade dress on these to make it look different, right, for the theme of the book, like that really adds to it, rather than having no trade dress or just use the one that's currently being used for the run. Like when they do something like this, it just, I don't know, I think it really makes it work. All right, next on the list. This is a book that I think is only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Contest of Champions number 1, Lentil U, 1 in 25. This is the first appearance of White Fox. Marvel seems committed to this character. I think they're going to continue to put more and more resources behind her. This is sort of like Bloodstone number 1. A couple of years ago. Although this thing is, I think, actually run ahead of it because it's a little bit harder to get. There's only 39 copies on the census, 19 in 9.8, which is kind of crazy. There's only 19 9.8s out there.
Jeez.
But a book that I think could hit, big numbers, like on par with some of the stuff we're seeing for some of the young Marvel characters. Marvel is going to put a lot behind White Fox, and I think this is just getting started. So we could be talking about this book as a $2,000 book in a couple years. I don't think that would, given where comics are going, I don't think that's unheard of at all, given the census.
Yeah. Where do you see this character going?
I mean, Agents of Atlas. I mean, they're going to build out that whole world. I mean, they could do a lot, but I think that's probably the most natural place. We'll see her, but she's cool looking. When Marvel starts dropping these one shots, like we're seeing her pop up She was in Future Fight. Like they're intentionally sort of raising the profile of this character in the comics, which is a sign that I think we're gonna see this character more going forward. And there's a couple other plays on this book. So I think it was Ron Lim, correct me if I'm wrong, who did an open order cover. She's on that as well. And then the cover A, she's not really featured, but she's on that cover as well. Like, so I think it goes this one, the Lim, if I'm not mistaken, and then the cover A within the Contest of Champions for sort of the bigger hits for her. And there's some other ones within there that could hit as well. But yeah, I just think that this book is going to grow steadily over time as Marvel continues to develop the character. And I'm happy to have one of these in 9.8. I got it raw a long time ago and pressed it and sent it in, and got lucky enough it came back at 9.8. So I'm gonna hang on to this one for a while, but I think this one's got some legs.
Okay.
800 though. I mean, that's a pretty big. That's a pretty big nut. That's selling for more than some of the other bigger Marvel young characters right now. So we'll see where it goes. But
I got two, and I don't think either of them are 9.8s. But damn it, that book should be on my my CGC list. But
you should put it on, man. You should put it on the list. If it comes back at 9.4, 9.6, it's still going to be valuable, man.
All right.
Protect your investment, man.
All right. What else we got on this? I forgot what's on this list. Oof. Here we go. So we talked about the convention exclusive of this book on Ghosts. It was the opening book, if I'm not mistaken, on that episode. And we talked about the existence of this book. So X-Men, Uncanny X-Men number 510, J. Scott Campbell 1 in 15 variant. We talked about magic covers being hot. Well, Psylocke covers have always been a thing. People love to collect Psylocke covers. And this is a pretty big freaking book. Saw this go for early in 2021 for $500. It's not exactly like rare on the census. I just think there's a lot of demand for it. 551. That said, it's a bitch in 9.8, 183, right? So far less than half of these copies are coming in at 9.8. But a beautiful J. Scott Campbell cover, and book that X-Men fans absolutely adore. And just absolutely beautiful. Carter, you just bought one of these, didn't you? I was watching one of your videos. Did you just buy one of these?
Just bought one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was at a store, that and the Hulk 16 variant. Got the set for $175, and yeah, like that was a book, because to me that this book came out during a time when Marvel produced like mythic level variants, and this was, in my opinion, this was pretty much up there. I don't want to call it like, at the very top, but this was up there at the time. It really doesn't go for that much right now, but I think in the future, especially if we ever see Psylocke in the MCU, this book will definitely do some damage in the market.
Yeah, I think it's one of these books that comes sort of in and out of focus, right? Yeah, you're right. This falls into those mythic Marvel variants in that window there, and I still put it in that category. But it's weird. Like the community kind of loses focus. I think a lot of people haven't thought about this book in a while.
Yeah,
but it is a big freaking book, and yeah, it was the first book I put on this presentation when I was making the Ghost. I actually put this one on. This presentation was actually started it before the last Ghost presentation, so it was actually on this presentation before I dropped the convention exclusive on the other one. But yeah, a book I don't have it, but it's beautiful for sure.
I hardly ever pay up for books, but I paid up for that one a little bit, and I didn't mind. I did. I found one at a convention about 7 years ago for about $15. The problem was there was rub along the spine, and and that kind of bothered me, so I let that one go. But I was very happy to come across another one for well under $100.
Yeah, for $15, you could have turned that for even with spine rub, man. You could have turned that for a nice little nice little game.
Totally.
Yeah, I didn't even
Joe.
think about Paul. There is a Mexican. It would make perfect sense. There was a Mexican version of this. I don't remember seeing it, but yeah, this is exactly the kind of book that they would make. Great point. And if Josh was here, I'm sure he could give us all the nitty gritty details on it. But okay,
I was gonna ask Joe real quick because I know he's a big J. Scott Campbell fan. How many of these 9/8s are yours?
0.
Oh wow, that's actually surprising.
This has been like on the list. Like I've got a lot of Campbell books. Like this is the one that it just always. Oh God, it seems
It's your white whale,
seems
right?
real fucking cheap, dude. Now, God damn it, dude. Now I got to think about buying this, dude. So that, oh man, I'm going down the rabbit hole. All right.
all right. What's next?
Damn it, Aaron.
Spider-Woman Alpha. Stacey Lee 1 in 25. This book was super hot for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's faded. But it's one I've always had my eye on. There's less than 100 of them graded, 92, 65 9/8. And listen, I wouldn't expect. People have talked about, okay, these 3 could show up in a Sony movie. I wouldn't necessarily bet on that, even though it's not impossible. But just a tough book to come by, and this when this property hit, it was pretty hot, pretty damn hot, and then this book kind of disappeared. But yeah, just a cool modern variant that you don't really see pop up that often. Like I said, we saw one sell last year for $500.
Yeah, Mighty Male V got one of them just casually sitting around in the short boxes.
I kick myself every time I see this cover because my shop had one on their wall for $40 for $50 for the longest time, and I just kept on passing on it. And then they started selling online, like on Facebook or whatever. And then I think they lowered it to $40, and I was gonna buy it, and then I missed out on it. And then like 2-3 months later is when it spiked up, and I was just like kind of like, it's gone.
Was that years ago?
Yeah, it was like probably like two years ago. Like,
because I remember the exact time that this book got hot. There was like the rumors about Spider Women. I don't even remember the circumstances around it, around how it got hot. I just remember that the weekend that it got hot and just everything sold. And I remember seeing like every listing for this variant just going. But I don't remember like when specifically, but I just know it was just like a number of years ago.
Yeah, I think it was like what 2 or 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And I have yet to come across this book. Yet.
Yeah, I know I've got a foreign that I grabbed somewhere of this book. I don't know where the hell it is. It's back here somewhere. The closest I've got. I never got hands on the original one of these, but I've had my eye on it for years to try to snipe it. No, never happened. Not yet. Probably not now. All right. What do we got next?
Oh God.
Yeah, so this book has popped up quite a bit recently. This is a J. Scott Campbell exclusive. Probably his most successful, or at least certainly one of his most successful exclusives. We saw a 9/8 for this go for $725. At the middle of last year, although I think I missed a sale because I think one went for $1,000 after that.
I think a raw copy sold for $1,000. I'm pretty sure it's an
That's what I just
outlier.
read. I was looking at graded sales. I think you're right, Aaron. I think that's why it didn't pop up because I was going through graded sales. I think that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And it's not like hyper rare, right? 217 copies on the census. Almost all of them are 9.8, 202. Quite a few signature series. You know, given that many signature series, I'd love to have this book unsigned. But yeah, a book that is fairly sought after by the J. Scott Campbell collectors, and yeah, it's just a classic homage, a beautiful book.
Yeah. But I want to say it was an outlier because like another raw copy auctioned a week after that, and I think it only got like $600.
Yeah, it was like 600 or 700, something like that. That's right.
Yeah.
Because Josh was looking at one, and we were talking about what is this book really worth, and he was going to buy it as sort of like with a bunch of books, and yeah, we were talking about that $1,000 sale, but and I think there was another one. I think there was a third in that same 600 range as well, but
Is
yeah,
that one signed? I think, right?
yeah, I think that one was signed. I think the unsigned copies of these. I mean, Campbell signs everything. He's got a beautiful signature, but I would be chasing for books like this, the ones that aren't signed. They just feel like they would be a bit more unique, to be honest with you. Like I said, 130 out of 217 are signed, right? So the vast majority of them.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So I don't do a lot of store exclusives on this, but this not Nakayama. I think he just absolutely crushed it with this cover. I don't have it, but it's just exceptionally well done. And I don't know. I came across it as I was doing the other Black Cat stuff, so I just threw it on there. Just a beautiful cover. There's two versions of it. There's a white version and this pink one. There's not a lot on the census. I assume, like anything else, there's 1,000 of these out there because that's what the order cutoff is for this stuff. But just a book I wanted to put on the list because I love David Nakayama, and I think this is just a really cool cover, really cool book. So I think Black Cat might be one of the books that had the most covers ever. I mean, it was unbelievable how many different covers there were for that Black Cat #1 when it came out. But this one kind of kicks ass. So just wanted to throw it on there.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Comic Book Women because they did a deep dive on Nakayama last week, right, Joe?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
I think it was 2 weeks ago, and that was part 1. We're trying to get David Nakayama on for part 2. So
I bet you do it, man. He's the nicest guy. Like he's.
Oh
like,
yeah. He hit us up and he said if he hadn't checked his social media. I was hitting him up on Instagram. He said if he would have saw it, he would have jumped on. He was going to be on Deal or Flipside with us a while back, but he had something up with the kids. So, but eventually we'll get him on.
Yeah.
Welcome, Doc Joe, to Ladies' Night. So.
All right, let's keep Ladies' Night going. Back to Adam Hughes. Catwoman 51. I'm shocked for how much this book goes for, to be honest with you. Shocked.
It's cheap, bro.
This is, $325. This is a cover A, right? Open order. We saw one go for $325 this year already. Willow, iconic. That's right. Honestly, this is not my favorite Hughes cover by a long shot, but people love it. Like, I don't dislike it, but like, I'm not crazy about it like some people are. But
bro, it's a great cover. Like, if you're the cop,
I respect it.
If you're the cop booking her, bro, like you go through about 20 photos, bro. Okay, turn to the side, ma'am. Okay, good.
I hear you, man. I hear you. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying there are Hughes covers. There's actually, we'll talk about a book later, and everybody will disagree with me, but I love it like a little bit better than this one in this same run. But there's over 1,000 of these on the census. 609 over 609.8. But just a classic modern banger, right? The definition of it, and it's a book that just seems to get hotter and hotter year after year, right? It's just growing in popularity. This book.
I mean, that's how she would look if she got arrested, bro.
I don't think she's gonna get arrested, man. You're not gonna arrest Catwoman, man.
They caught her right there. She probably escaped, but they caught her.
I mean, I tend to think
meow.
Whenever I think of Catwoman covers, my mind goes to this cover for some reason. I don't know. It's just embedded. That
It's
like
the
I guess
glare,
so.
bro. It's the eyes, bro.
Yeah,
It's a modern classic.
Yeah, it's a great book. It's a great book. And like I said, man, this thing's starting to run out of control. No ratio, just an open order book. That is a monster. All right. What else we got? All right, so this book just came out, right? But I'm saying, you know what? This cover is perfect. Sozo Mayaka. This is a 1 in 25. This book isn't even out yet, but it's going for, I believe, $80 to $90 already. A 1 in 25. It comes out soon, a couple of weeks. So there's no copies. You know, I said 50 on there. I went up to credit. I was like, you know what? If it's just for 50, I'm going to go buy it. I couldn't find one for 50. There are a lot more, and there's actually not that many on the internet to buy. I think there's a couple on eBay. I expect more to hit the market, obviously, when the book's actually released. But this book is perfection, I think. I mean, absolute perfection. When I first saw this, I'm like, I got to get my hands on this. So, a book that I think is going to stay popular for a long time, but who the hell knows? We'll see. But I think
It's Michelle Pfeiffer, bro.
I think on this book, because I know we had this on cover picks. I think on this book, in order to unlock the 1 in 25, you had to order 25 of the cover B, which is $1 higher. So $4.99 instead of the $3.99, because that cover B is always going to be cardstock paper.
Damn.
that's a good point. If that's true, man, that's a big point, because if we can go to the cover A, I have it next. Because the cover A is no joke in and of itself. This is the call, right? So people love this book in its own right? So if it's the cover B, Hunter, like those are going to be super under ordered because everybody's going to be loading up on this book, right?
Yeah,
so,
I could go back and double check really quick, because I know I was
true, that's really
looking
good
at
to know.
that.
Because if that's the case, that book's going to be a ghost, I think. The Sozo Mayaka.
Yeah, I remember making that point on the show. I was like, man, with the call being on the cover A and it being, so fire, and that and the way DC, they've been doing a lot of funny stuff with their ratios lately, and not you just being able to order the cover A, even some of the covers where they have like a B, and a C, you have to order like 250 copies of that cover C, just to get it, or something crazy like that. Just to get that cover C, you have to order, so many of it just in order to unlock that cover. I know they did that with Dark Knights of Steel, with what they call the team variant on that one. And I remember when I looked up this book, it was something funny going on with the incentive on here. But give me 1 second, and I'll get verification on that.
I'd say this, man. All you guys making fun of her heels in the comments, I would watch out. I would not mess with her. She's got a knife, and she'll stick it in your ear, man. So
she's got those nails, bro.
I would not make fun of her heels. It's a joke.
I will say this: I like the cover better when they had the minimal artwork and trade dress on it, when it just looked like she was coming down it just looked like she was
they added a lot to
this
one. I don't mind this one, but you know what, Hunter, there's going to be a second print, I guarantee, that's going to be that minimal one. I bet you. I would not. I would not.
I don't know if DC, I don't know how hard it is to do a store exclusive with them, but a minimal on the store exclusive, I wouldn't mind that, especially if it was really short printed, like 500 or 600 copies.
Yeah, and I know Hunter's a big fan of like a lot of the DC B covers and stuff like that as well.
The B on this is a Jenny Frison.
Oh wow!
Yeah. I mean, this book is just loaded up. All three covers of this thing are just are must-haves, right?
Yeah.
Do you think it's their answer to Black Cat? You know, since Black Cat's been doing extremely well, they're reinvesting in Catwoman, and so
Yeah, so DeCall's been he's going to do all the covers for a while for these books. And like he had a comment like, we're going to bring the sexy back, or they're going to bring the seductive back, or something to that effect with the character, and which is why they asked him to come on. So he's going to be doing the cover A's for the foreseeable future on this title. So yeah, I think that's a good observation, Joe. I think you might be right. All right, I think that was the last book of the main part of the presentation. I have a little section I call back issue bin bangers. These are just cool books that I think you can find when you go out there digging, or you might be able to find you're out there digging. I just threw a few on here. People seem to like this segment last time we did it, so I just threw a couple books on here to keep your eyes open for when you're digging. You can find them, I think, in back issue bins. This might be my favorite of the Art Germ Supergirl covers. I mean, this one is really quite remarkable. So this is a cover B. There aren't a lot of these on the census. It doesn't go for much in 9.8, although we haven't seen a sale in a couple years. I just pulled one the other day for $5 out of a back issue bin. So they're there, but just an absolutely gorgeous book. I will say there is a foil for this book. It was a convention exclusive that goes for a lot more and a lot harder to come by. But just the one that you can find that was on the shelves, just an absolute gorgeous Good Girl Supergirl cover. Just a beautiful book. And, I think it's the kind of book that as the years go by, people will pay a little bit more and a little bit more for. And so just threw it on the list. Everybody loves Art Germ. Some of his early stuff like this, it just feels like it's a little bit more fresh, a little bit more unique than some of the stuff maybe we're seeing from him now. But just a cool book.
Well, I remember during the Rebirth run, like he did a bunch of the Supergirl covers that like really popped, and then they just went wild off the market, and then it kind of simmered down. I'm guessing they simmered down a lot nowadays, but. Yeah.
Hey, so Dennis, the recalled version, I've got it here somewhere. I'm not going digging for it. It was her sitting petting a cat, but it was the position of her hand and the position of her cat that people claimed was a bit too suggestive, which I believe is the book that you're talking about. I don't know if it was officially recalled, but it did raise some concerns of sort of where the cat was positioned in her lap and how her hand was positioned near the cat. That I think was what is the book you might be referring to on that one, man. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if there was a Derek Chu recalled version. I'm not sure. I could see a Chu book being recalled, but yeah, there was that Supergirl cover that was a little controversial in this run. All right, next on the list. So this is a Catwoman cover I think is super underrated, to be honest with you. This is my favorite one in the series, which I know is not as iconic as the other one. But there's just something about this book that I think is really classy. I like the Zatanna poster there in the background. I like Catwoman coming down the street. The lighting. There's just something really exceptionally well done about this book. And issue number 50, they tend to be a little bit heavily ordered. This is one that you can find when you go out there digging. People are always looking for 51, so maybe they leave 50 behind.
Mm-hmm.
But just a really beautiful Hughes, classic. And it's maybe not traditional Hughes art, but there's just something about this that works for me. Just my favorite cover of the Catwoman runs, but I know it's not quite as seductive as, the other one that we saw. 111 on the census, 63, 9.8. Saw 9.8 go late last year for $150, which is a pretty good price for this book. But yeah, my favorite of the Catwoman books. All right, next we've got a couple more of these. This book. This is a cover price book, man. This book goes for nothing. But Domino number 7. Gang Huck Lim cover A. Whatever. This goes for nothing. There's not many graded because nobody really cares, but it's a beautiful cover. Outlaw there is a cover. A character I always thought Marvel could do some more with. She showed up in Deadpool number 65, which is one of my favorite modern covers. The Bunny Years one where he's sitting in the chair.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that his first? Is that her first? Did I get that right?
That's her first appearance.
Yeah. So
her first cover appearance is Agent X number 2.
Yeah, and some of those Agent X covers are awesome too. By the way, like that run, people didn't love that run. I didn't mind it. I don't know why. When I was reading that when it was coming out, I actually really didn't mind that run so much. But only hung around for 12 issues, I think, something like that.
Yeah, there's a few covers in that Domino run that are really nice, man.
Yeah, I think there's another one with Morbius, if I'm not mistaken. Is that in that run?
Oh well? Yeah. I think it was number 3, where he's about to bite that chick in the neck, something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so this is just a beautiful book. When I'm out digging, I see this book, I always grab it if it's for a couple bucks. Yeah, just a fun one to pick up because it's ladies' night, so we can't leave this one out. All right, here we go. Next, Incredible Hulk 441, Pulp Fiction homage. This book might be a little aggressive, to be honest with you. For back, you used to be able to find it in the back issue bins not so long ago, but people have kind of woken up to this. This book goes for $20-$30 regularly on eBay, but you can find it out there. Just a really cool, like I said, Pulp Fiction homage. There are sort of people. Pulp Fiction's begun to be homage quite a bit, so there are people out there who just kind of collect these things, and this is a cool one. I would keep your eye open for the newsstand. The easiest way to tell is obviously the barcode, but instead of $1.95, it's 150 cents for the newsstand. That's the one that I think is super cool. But a book you might be able to find out there in the Hulk back issue bins. I would say as the years go on, this one gets tougher and tougher, but maybe one to keep your eye open for if you're in the Hulk section.
Man, I just noticed the Fantastic Four lampshade, and it's got like the Thing base on it. That is so badass, dude.
Yeah, she's got a Punisher pillow back there.
Yeah,
America blanket. She's reading Hulk Fiction. Yeah,
Hulk Fiction.
It's pretty clever. And then she's got the celery,
Yeah.
So I think that's a Spider-Man necklace she's rocking there too. Right?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, there's so many little things in that. That's a cool cover, man.
And so Sean, this was not a ratio. This was just an open order cover A book. Anybody could have bought this. But yeah, just as a cool one. Yellow covers tend to do well. Keep your eyes open if you're digging. Getting harder and harder to find, but might still be out there.
Yeah, I expect to see a lot more on the market as we get closer to the She-Hulk series on Disney Plus as well.
Yeah, absolutely. What do we got next? I just threw this on here because I bought this the other day at a used bookstore. I'd never seen it before for like $10. And skull covers are a thing, and then demon women are a thing. So I don't know. I'm kind of in love with this cover. I'm super happy that I found it. So I said, yeah, what the hell? I'm going to throw it on here. We saw a 9.4, which is the highest graded copy, if I'm not mistaken, of this book, for $144. So it's not crazy expensive. There's no 9.8s, 24 graded copies, and just a cover that I found digging through some old Vampirella and creepy magazines that I don't know, just jumped out at me. So just threw it on here for the hell of it, which I think is the last book of the night. But
that's a cool cover, man.
Yeah, it's fun. I don't know. Like I said, there are collectors who like demon women and skulls. So ticks both boxes.
And real quick, Knife wanted to show off a book real quick. Let me show you
nice.
quick. So stop this. Share.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, just the open order Black Knight issue. If I had to put my money on it, I think this was like issue number 2. I would say this went under ordered, just because Black Knight is not the most not the most popular Marvel character. And I just couldn't even see a bunch of casual people walking into the store saying, "Hey, let me get this, let me get this Black Knight issue." But once a cover like this kind of pops up on my radar, anytime I hit a shop, I would just check just to see if they have it. And about 8 shops in, I've only found it at one shop, and a lot of shops here in Dallas order heavy on everything Marvel, so I was kind of surprised. You can get the book on eBay for much of nothing, but as hot as Elsa Bloodstone is right now, and as good looking as this cover is, I think it's a easy buy. Man, anybody that's even halfway feeling Elsa Bloodstone, or if you just got a thing for redheads, man, this is a easy purchase in my opinion.
That's a great pick, Ninth. That's a real good pick.
Yeah, I don't. When did that come out? Was that a couple of weeks ago?
No, that came out last year.
Last year?
Yeah,
It
came
might
out last,
have
probably.
come, but yeah,
Probably like this time, probably around this time last year, or maybe maybe like a couple of months removed. So maybe like early spring, maybe early spring, late winter, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I mean, I think if Marvel's going to go down this horror road, which it feels like they absolutely are, with the Werewolf by Night, Vampire by Night being in there, like it's impossible that we don't see Elsa here at some point. Like if they're going to go down horror, we're going to see her. It'd be awesome if she showed up in Blade. It'd be the perfect movie for her, but like she's going to be popping up here at some point if Marvel's committing to a horror vein of the MCU.
Yeah, them adding Blade in that, and even Moon Knight to a certain extent, that opens up Ghost Rider. That opens up a lot of possibilities just to get a different types of Marvel characters from what we used to seeing in the MCU proper right now. And I also think that Marvel is realizing that they got to be more diverse in these movies, as far as the type of movies that they make. You got to have a variety because they're making so many movies now. Everything just can't be, a traditional superhero movie. You really got to get in there and mix it up and give people different, types of genres within these movies.
Yeah, and I would say even more than just the movies, to be honest with you, they're going to be pumping out content on Disney Plus like crazy over the next couple of years. So they're going to need more and more Disney Plus content as well, right? So some of that stuff lends itself really well to TV shows and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, they're going to want to be having, new content out, 2 nights a week at least here at some point, rather than, 1 night a week for half the year, whatever it works out to be. So, yeah, that's a good point. All right. Well, I guess that's it for tonight. Listen, thank you everyone for joining us. Please leave comments, suggestions. We'll answer them, and we'll look to do this again soon. Already started putting together another Ghost presentation. Carter shared some books with me, so I don't know when we're going to drop that. It's not ready yet, but we're working on it. So stay tuned, and we'll try to get that in front of everybody sooner rather than later. Thanks and good night.